Hello, hello. Welcome to Mindset to Results. And today, our guest in our podcast show is TJ Walker, and he is founder of TJ Walker AI Clone, which he successfully uses to grow his business and speak to his clients in more than 30 languages. And today we will speak about how to build business outside of the box and how to use new technologies, which are here to help us to be more, do more, and have more. Hi, DJ.
Hi, Elena. Good to be with you.
Good to see you too. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been doing business, and how was it? How was your journey in the beginning, and what you do now?
Well, I started doing presentation skills and media training 40 years ago, believe it or not. So I've been in it a long, long time. And way back in 1998, I started doing my first online courses, online media training and public speaking training. It was way too early. I failed. I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in the early years, because it took a long time for people to get comfortable with it, familiar with it, have the high speed bandwidth, things like that. So it wasn't until about 2015 that it really kicked in. And then the pandemic exploded in a positive way. And I now have 2 million online students for more than 200 of my courses. So that worked really well. Traditionally, did face-to-face training, video camera, helping people build communication skills and personal development skills. And I worked with everyone from presidents of countries, prime ministers, Nobel Peace Prize winners, Miss Universes, how to communicate. And they always love the training, but the downside is one-on-one or small group training. I have to fly to them, they fly to me. I've been to 45 countries, but it's very expensive. Most people can't afford it. When the switch came to online training, that was great because it's inexpensive, there's no flight. The downside is it's not as personal, it's not interactive. People are not being recorded and getting critiqued individually to them a dozen times in a day. So while it was financially lucrative and still is for me, it doesn't create a transformational experience with people. That's why I got so excited about digital clones, because my digital clone can now talk to you about what you want. If you say, hey, TJ Clone, I'm going to go on the BBC to promote my podcast, it'll say, okay, Elena, let's do a rehearsal right now. And it will be personalized to you. So it's really the best of both worlds. It's got the immediacy, the interactivity of a private training one-on-one, and yet it's scalable, and it's got the low expense of an online course. And even better than that, it can speak in 32 languages. So that's why I'm so excited about it.
Yes, me too. Me too. I'm so excited to hear more about this and learn from you. You said that you have more than 2 million online students. Wow. I've never heard these numbers from anybody else who I communicated with. And of course, definitely, I think there are so many coaches, consultants who would like to learn from you how you achieved such a great results. And also, this idea to use AI to get your courses available to people who speak different languages. And as you said, 32 languages, you can uh, serve people, yeah, throughout the
Mhm.
world with your knowledge, with your skills and experience that can benefit from this. Yeah, this is
Mhm.
amazing.
Well, my biggest pieces of advice is start early and fail. Don't be afraid to fail. I have dozens of internationally best-selling courses on the Udemy platform and other platforms. That sounds great, but what that really means is that I have 200 courses that really didn't sell very well. So
Mhm.
my big strength is more at bats, to use an American baseball analogy. I just try more.
Mhm.
And I'm certainly no Picasso, but one of Picasso's great strengths as an artist is he simply produced a lot more art than anyone else. He produced 50,000 pieces of art throughout
Well,
his career. So there's just more exposures, there's more more opportunities to get in front of people. I know a lot of people who early in my career were as talented as I was, maybe harder working, smart, but they waited 5 years before making the first course. They wanted to polish it, make sure it's just right, wait till they, lost weight or got a better camera. I just started and learned, and most of my early courses didn't make money at all for years. But I
Mhm.
kept on and kept on experimenting. And sometimes I would do a course and I thought, I don't even think this is a good idea. There's no way anyone's going to buy this. And that turned out to be one of my most popular, successful, financially lucrative courses ever. So you never really know. So my advice to people, if you're an entrepreneur, you're starting a business, you have to try a lot. You have to get feedback from the marketplace. And thankfully, in the modern internet connected era, it's just easy to get it quickly. You don't have to build a factory and spend $10 million to create a product and spend a lot of money on TV ads to see if it fails. And, it takes 5 years to fail. You can fail quickly and
Mhm.
easily now, and then use that expertise to make the next product better. That's what I do with all my online courses. And that's what I'm trying to do with my clone now, because my clone is not successful in a financial sense yet. It's just brand new, but I
Mhm.
give it away for free to all of my online courses. So if you are in my complete public speaking course now, in lecture 3, it says, by the way, this course now comes with its own free online coach, interactive clone coach. Go to tjwalker.ai, and rather than following the 600 lectures in order, you can now tell my clone what you want to focus on. You can actually practice a speech with my clone, and my clone will give you feedback. If we were talking to my clone right now, I could ask it, what do you think of my backdrop? If I put glasses on and said to my clone, do I look professional now? It would say, well, TJ, your backdrop looks nice, your suit's fine, but why are you wearing sunglasses? So the clone, the video clone, pretty much talks like I do. It thinks like I do, meaning it pulls from my own database. So I've used everything in my career to get to the next part. So I built my interactive AI video clone based on every single video I ever made for my online courses. So they've all been ingested into a database that my clone can pull on instantly. Every book I've ever written, it's all goes into that. And by the way, this is my latest book on how to make your own video clone, which is
Mhm.
available on Amazon. But that's all
Mhm.
in the clone, and people can access it at no charge.
Amazing, amazing. Wow. Fantastic. Yeah. So you train your clone by uploading videos where you were speaking books
It
and
could
his.
be video, it could be a PDF, it could be text, it could be this podcast.
Yes,
It could
amazing.
be any format, audio, video, or text can be uploaded into the brain. Now, there are about 15 major companies out there that will allow you to create digital clone they're platforms that allow you to create clones.
Mhm.
I use one called Delphi.ai. I'm not affiliated with them, and I'm not an investor, but that's one that I use that allows me to upload basically everything I do. So when I just got through interviewing someone on my own podcast, it's automatically uploaded into my clone, and it can tell my voice from the other. So it won't use the other I guest ideas, but
Mhm.
anything I said in my last interview, it now is in the database of my clone's brain, its database, and it can use that for answers and advice and helping people.
Wow, amazing. So can you speak with your clone just to speak with him, communicate, ask him to ask questions what he doesn't know yet, so he also can get information from you as conversation?
Yeah, I can talk to it, and then everything in the clone, every conversation helps build that. Do you want me to do a brief demonstration for your viewers?
Yeah, definitely. It would be great.
Okay.
Very
So let me
interesting.
just pull it up here in a minute. Again, it's just tjwalker.ai. is the platform. I will share the screen and we'll share the audio as well. And so you just click on it. You got it doesn't, you don't have to pay anything for quite a while on it. You can just try it. So anyone can try this on their own if they want. And I'm going to start off in English, but it does speak Russian and it speaks other languages as well. But we'll see if we can just do a quick little demonstration here.
So can you speak to him because he will not hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you?
Hi, TJ. My name is Elena, and I'm going on the BBC tomorrow to promote my business podcast. I wondered if you could give me advice on messages where I can excite the BBC producers and audience so that they invite me back again and again, and I can even get my own show on the BBC. So, what is your advice to me, Elena, promoting my business podcast on the BBC?
Elena, that's an exciting opportunity. When you're on the BBC, you want to captivate both the producers and the audience right from the start. Here's a strategy. Focus on delivering a compelling narrative about your podcast. Share a story that highlights a unique aspect or a breakthrough moment from your podcast. This could be an unexpected insight from a guest or a transformative experience you've had through the podcast. Make sure to convey your passion and the impact your podcast has on listeners. You want the producers to see that.
So I'm going to stop it right there. I think you can see it's giving personalized information to you. That's not pulling from an old recording somewhere. That is processing information in real time. Now, here's the exciting thing. I'm the typical ugly American. Shame on me. I never learned to speak anything other than English. But my clone is actually much smarter than I am. It can speak in other languages. So let's just try another language and see what it has to say. This time we'll try it in Russian. And Elena, you can be the critiquer and tell us if it makes any sense. Sometimes it takes a few seconds to connect. Привет, DJ, как дела?
You should say him хорошо.
Понимаю, это может быть немного раздражающим, когда связь не устанавливается мгновенно, но, знаете, это дает нам возможность немного замедлиться и подумать о том, что мы хотим обсудить. Кстати, как вы обычно справляетесь с такими задержками? Есть ли у вас какие-то стратегии, чтобы оставаться сосредоточенным и не терять нить разговора?
Wow.
So we'll stop there. I have no idea what it was saying. Did that make any sense?
Yes, very interesting, really. I'm very impressed. He said that sometimes there is some delay, and what usually we do when there is some delay, what you usually do to keep focus. Yes, interesting.
So here's what's exciting to me, Elena. I've had the privilege and the joy of traveling all over the world. I've worked with people in every nation with my online students. I have students from 193 nations, but I've personally traveled to 45 nations around the world and trained UN officials and prime ministers and business executives. The problem has been I always had to make people bend to me. The training had to be done in English. That's the only thing I know. Unfortunately, I've worked with people who are smarter than I am, and many of them speak 3, 4, 5 languages. But it always had to be through what was convenient for me. The beauty now of these digital clones is people can talk to me in their language, and I can help them in their language. So overnight, I went from being able to, and this just happened in the last month, I went from being able to help basically 1 billion people in the world who speak English to almost 7 billion people because I can now speak in 32 of the most popular languages in the world. or I should say my clone does. I still don't speak more than a couple of words in a few languages, and English is the only one I'm fluent in. So that's what's exciting. And I do think as a business person, you've always got to think about how to expand your market. How are you looking for growth? Because there's competition all the time. I have a lot of friends my age, even younger than my age, who were used to training in person and giving speeches. They like that acclaim of being on the stage and being in the spotlight and the standing ovation. And hey, I like that too. But they never adapted to the new world of online training, of doing things in a digital format. And most of them now are, well, they say they're retired, but it's not, it was forced retirement because they couldn't figure out how to make any money in the new world. They're still waiting for that phone to ring for someone to say, hop in a plane and come here. And I still do that from time to time. But the vast majority of my business, it's all digital. It's either online courses and increasingly through things like this digital clone.
Very good, very good. Thank you for sharing. I think that many consultants and coaches who are listening to this episode would like to know more about this and use your expertise and knowledge to create their clones to help people. So, how do you get leads for this website? Like, what is your most proven techniques how to get this clone in front of millions of people? As you said, you have 200 millions of people. How did do you?
I, I'm basically throwing spaghetti against the wall. I'll be very candid with you. Now, I do things like go on every podcast I can do. So thank you so much for giving me opportunity to talk to your audience. I interview anyone and everyone who has a clone so I can get in front of their audience as well. I do things like publish books on how to create your own clone. This is in paperback, it's in hardback, it's in audio format, it's in Kindle format. It might not be the best book ever written in the entire world, but it's the best book on how to make an interactive video clone in the world. I'm quite confident of that. You know why? Because it's the only book on that subject at this moment. It's a new industry. It's an early industry. So I'm in the field every day testing. One of the things I've done to get in front of people and to drive them to my website is I've incorporated it into everything else I've done. I've made 250 online video-based courses over the years on communication skills and personal development skills and things like how to have healthy habits. So what I've done in just the last few months is I've added a lecture, typically a lecture 3, in every single course. And they all say the same thing. They say, hey, good news. This course has been updated. This course now comes with its own interactive digital coach for you. So you can ask my clone any question about anything related to this course. And now you don't have to go through the whole course. You don't have to look at the table of contents or fast forward. You can just ask my clone a question and my clone will answer it for you. So I'm getting people coming in every day to my tjwalker.ai website to try out my clone because I'm connecting it with other creations I've made. So that's something I think any entrepreneur should try to do, is always figure out, how do you give added value to the people who already know you, the people who already like you, the people who've already used your services. I had a major insurance company in the southwest part of the United States hire me a month ago for in-person public speaking training for a couple of days, 10 executives each day, doing it pretty similar to how I've done it for decades. They loved it. It was a great experience. But now I can say, instead of saying, hey, email me anytime you have a question or call me anytime, I can now say, hey, you can call me or email me, but if it's 3 a.m. and you're nervous about a speech you got to give tomorrow morning, you're probably not going to want to call me at 3 a.m. Nor do I want you to call me at 3 a.m. if I'm sleeping. The good news is you can call my clone. You can call it on a website. And as of next month, you'll be able to call it on an app. My clone even has its own phone number. So you can just on your cell phone, or you can WhatsApp and ask my clone a question.
Wow.
So I
Amazing.
am
Great.
using the new innovations as an extra, as an enhancement for traditional clients who are happy with the way I've been doing things for decades. But they appreciate the fact that, hey, TJ's cutting edge. He's giving us more stuff. He's giving us more tools to help us improve.
Yes, yes, really. Very good, very good. So you said that you are in business for 40 years,
Yes.
and since 2015, that is 9 years from now, your business changed dramatically.
Yes. Oh, it's constantly changing. I
Yes.
mean, there were back in the 90s, I actually took an old VHS camera and I had to shoot and get friends to help me making a training video on how to speak to the media. I
Mm,
then at the time I was really poor. I was struggling because I was also hosting talk shows and things like that. And it was before things like YouTube, where it was very, very expensive and difficult to host a TV show or even make a pilot. So I
mm,
make a VHS tape. I then had to spend all my life savings making 300 copies of this VHS tape. And then I
mm,
mailed it to every PR firm in New York City where I was living at the time. And then I would call them all. Hey, did you get that videotape? And out of that, I did get out of 300 videos sent out, I did get 3 clients. One of them used me once, one of them used me 3 times, but one of them used me again and again and again. They are still using me to this day, 30
wow.
years later.
Mm. Such a great return, yes, of your investment of time and
Yeah.
also
But you have
resources.
to do what works in your time. These days, if I mailed people a VHS tape, they would think I was insane. you
Mhm.
have to you have to use the technology of your time. Not everybody has to be a technologist. I personally know nothing about technology. I don't know a gigabyte versus a megabyte versus a Python. I don't really know any of those things. I know
Mm.
how to read. I know how to type. I know how to click. That's really all I know. And that's all you have to know if you're willing to spend the time. So, one of the big things that just destroys many entrepreneurial careers before they even start is people saying, I'm not a tech guy. I'm not a tech person. I'm not a tech. We are all technology people. You don't have to know how to create it. You don't have to know how to code, but you have to know how to use it in the way your customers, clients, prospects are using it. At one time, a toaster was sophisticated technology. Nobody in the world knew how to use a toaster if they'd never seen it. Now, it's just a toaster. There was a time when it was really, really cutting edge and sophisticated and difficult to have a live stream conversation like we're doing. You'd have to hire 10 technology people and go to some special studio.
Mm.
Now it's just like breathing, basically. So you have to learn what you need to know to make yourself and your ideas helpful and useful to your prospects and clients.
Yes, and I also like your attitude, as you said, be the first and don't be afraid of failure. Yes, don't be
Yeah.
afraid to fail because more sooner you fail, sooner you will know what doesn't work, so you will know what works, right?
Yeah.
And this is how you will be in front of other people
And
who.
I'd love it if the first time I tried anything, it was a huge success. Unfortunately, it's not like that. There's an
Mhm.
author, James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. He's
Mm.
written one book and it sold 35 million copies. He
Wow,
never,
yeah.
not only does he never have to work again the rest of his life, his kids and grandkids will never have to work. Good for him. I wish I had done that, but that's not how most people's careers take off.
Mm.
It's far more common to try a lot of things, fail at a lot of things, experiment, see what works. I mean, if you look at so many seemingly really young, and I'm not young, but really young people who are successful, you scratch a little bit and you find out, okay, maybe they're 17 years old and making $20 million a year, but they failed massively, and they spent 20 hours a day on their YouTube channel from age 11 to 16 and didn't make any money. I mean, you look at someone like Mr. Beast, he had virtually no audience his first 5 years when he
Wow.
was on YouTube. But he
Mm,
experimented with different formats, different types of programming, different energy levels. He
mhm,
experimented, got almost no traction for 5 years. The
mhm,
problem most entrepreneurs have, and people who are startup consultants and authors and experts, is they'll do 3 podcasts. It doesn't get a million views, and they say, well, that doesn't work. Or
mhm,
they'll make one online course or write one book, not make much money. And they say, well, that was a waste of time.
mhm,
And quite often, they just didn't put in the reps. They didn't put in the hours. They didn't put in the iterations. They didn't put enough of their content out to see what works, or enough of their services out to see what works. And that's why they failed, because there just wasn't enough time for something to catch on.
Yes, yes, it is so true that persistence, even water, yes, the water, as soft as it is, but if it drops and drops and drops on the stone, it will make that hole, yes, in the
Yeah,
stone.
persistence is key, but also I think flexibility is important, because I do know people who are very persistent. Some of them have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, one in particular, I won't mention her name, she spent more than a dozen years of her life complete failure, not making any money, not making any traction. There is this myth of you just persist long enough, you will succeed. Well, sometimes no. Sometimes people fall in love with their particular solution, their app. And you have to fall. There's a book on my shelf over here. It says fall, and I forgot the name of the author, but it's fall in love with the problem,
Mm,
not the solution. Fall in love with the problem and then keep trying lots of solutions. Those are
mhm,
the people who are successful. The people who fall in love with a particular technology, a particular solution, quite often fail, and they can fail for decades. And sometimes it can destroy a whole career. So you've got to keep listening to the marketplace. You have to experiment, see what people actually like. I mean, at some point, if you want to be an artist and make artists for you, great. But at some point, if you're in business, you have to listen to what are people actually willing to pay for. You know, your mom and your best friend will say, "Oh, that's great, that's wonderful, fantastic," but they're not putting the money down, and it's not scalable. You've got to find something that people actually value, and it might not be common sense to you. I had a conversation with someone who was the head of programming and content on a platform I'm on, udemy.com, and told me like 7 years ago, I said, what kind of courses do your business clients need? She said, they need more soft skills courses. Like, well, what does that mean? Everything is a soft skill that I do, communication skills, presentation. What does that even mean? I understand it's not a technology course. She's like, I don't know. It's just soft skills. Just give me a course on soft skills. I'm like, okay. So I didn't really know what to do. I just created a course. I named it Soft Skills. And I thought, well, public speaking is a soft skill. I'll talk about that. I did a Google search and came up with a whole bunch of other common soft skills, like, showing up on time, kind of common sense stuff, frankly. I
mm,
made the course and I thought, is anyone really going to buy this? It seems like a lot of common sense. I didn't think it was one of my best courses. Well, I did it. Boom, became a number one bestseller. It's not my all-time best selling course, but it's made, $250,000 at this point for a couple of hours of work. And again, I don't want to make it sound easy. I have hundreds that have done, $10 or,
mm,
at least dozens that have only made $10. So it's not that they all become successes, but you have to have an open mind and figure out it just so turned out that people were typing in the word soft skills. They found the course, liked it. Whereas in the traditional world of the type of training I do. No one would call on a phone and say, TJ, I want you to give a soft skills course. So you have to
Yes.
adapt. Everything is a little bit different. What works in the online world is different from the in-person world and the in real life world. They're all a little bit different. So you have to experiment and try new things.
Yeah, yes, thank you so much for sharing. Yes, you have 40 years experience, so you know what works, what doesn't work. And this AI clone which you shared today about is really something that can help any coach, any consultant to get to such a huge audience. Yes, and because this is new, and people are intrigued to know more, yeah, they are interested to know more what is that about, and
Yeah.
just from the interest, when they see how well it answers their questions, they will be more, of course, interested to meet you also
Yeah.
as a person.
And
Yes, and
if I could make one correction, I appreciate what you say, but even at my age, I don't know what's going to be successful or what or isn't successful. I still fail all the time. All I know is a process that if you try a whole bunch of things, listen to the marketplace, constantly make changes to make it better, eventually you will come up with something, but you've got to be flexible. I think these digital interactive video clones are so much better than anything I've ever done, and that they're going to be a big thing and they're going to be huge. But I don't know yet. I'm taking a leap and I'm investing money in this and time and effort. There's no guarantee it will work, but I am taking a leap and doing everything I can to learn and learn new applications. I mean, I see someone like you and I think, wow, you'd be perfect to have a clone because someone could be a huge fan of your podcast, but be in a hurry one week and they see that you've got, uh, let's say you've interviewed Mark Zuckerberg, but they're in a hurry. They could go to your clone and say, Elena, give me the top 10 insights I would learn if I listened to the 45-minute interview with Mark Zuckerberg, but give it to me in 2 minutes. And you would be able to talk to them in exactly 2 minutes, delivering those nuggets. Your clone would be able to talk, wouldn't take any of your time. So for someone like you, who's a content creator, every podcast of yours could go into the clone and it wouldn't replace your podcast, but it would make it so your ideas and all the ideas are so much more accessible to people in different formats.
yes, exactly. This is such a great tool, and I'm definitely going to check it out. Thank you so much. And I'm also looking forward to meet you again in our future episodes so we can speak about communication and healthy habits. This is also important topics for our audience who are driven business owners and entrepreneurs. And the goal of our podcast is to empower people to think more, to become more, and of course to use new technologies, because new technologies are here to help us to achieve our audacious goals even faster.
Great. Thanks so much for having me. And thanks to your audience for spending time with us.
You're most welcome. So looking forward to see you again.